The meeting. Notice is hereby given that a regular board meeting of the Lower Valley Water District will be held on Thursday, June 25th. It is 6:31 p.m. There being 5 members present. I will declare a quorum. We will recite the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic that stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Dolores, did anyone sign up for open forum?
Not that I know of, no, Rosie. I don't know.
Well, with that in mind, we'll move on to the consent agenda, item 5 to 9. Does anyone have any questions regarding the consent agenda?
I have no questions, David.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. It's Rod Chavez.
No
Mr.
question,
Estrada,
Henry.
Mr. Trujillo? None?
Nope.
No
I
question.
thank you. I so move to approve the consent agenda. Do I hear a second?
Second it.
By Mr. Estrada, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. The regular agenda, item 10, General Manager's Report. Mr. Grijalva.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to try and take control and see what happens.
Okay, we could see it. I could see Mesa del Norte phase 2.
We're getting close.
subdivision.
We're getting close. All right, can you see the slideshow?
Yes.
It says Lower Valley Water District General Manager's Report.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so here we go. These are the topics that we're going to talk about. The regular projects that we've got going on and the latest updates on them. And then for our my department functions, I was going to give you guys a little bit of a overview of some of the departments and the personnel that are there and what they do. Things are changing, and I just wanted to make sure you guys were up on it. So Mesa del Norte, we're going to meet with the Water Improvement District tomorrow or sometime next week because of the irrigation season. We're not able to cross the lines under the lateral, but we've got several options that we are going to approach them with to see if they want to do it. We're planning on pumping the water from one side of the ditch to the other so that we can put the pipes underneath the lateral. So we'll talk to them about that next week so that we can keep that project moving. Quadrilla completion date, June 30th. You guys have approved the hiring of another driver. That driver is going to be moving the Quadrilla Type 2 water to locations of primarily people who don't have water rights so that they can water their plants. We already have a list of people who don't have water rights that want to use this water to water their gardens. Rosa Azul.
Jerry, this is Rod. Is there, are you charging anything for providing this service to those folks that want the water?
Not yet, only because it's only about 4,000 gallons a day. And we probably won't have enough water to be able to provide a consistent service to everybody. When Mesa del Norte comes online, we're looking at about 1 million gallons a month. And at that time, we will be selling the water and probably raising our fire hydrant meter rates so that they can use that water instead of our clean water from our fire hydrants.
Okay, thank you.
Rosa Azul, we've got a meeting with NatBank tomorrow, a virtual meeting, and we're going to discuss their funding of the yard lines. We started with 7 and they told us to stop, that they haven't approved the funding yet and we couldn't start. So we're meeting with them tomorrow to see if we can negotiate some sort of a way in which we can continue on, because we're falling behind with the yard lines. We're ready to do phase one, and the net bank hasn't really moved too far on approving the funding or securing the funding for us. So we're going to talk to them about tomorrow as to what options we have to be able to move this thing faster.
Okay, this thing's gonna fall.
Lourdes and Conquistador are the next subdivisions that are going to be funded in part by the county. Once we do these, the county will have given us, I think, $3 million in the last 4 years. So it's important to keep a relationship with the county, because if we have projects that are ready to go, they're going to give us $500,000 at a pop.
Yeah, but if you think of all the money they've given everybody else, 3 million in 4 years isn't a whole lot. 'Cause they have
Correct.
a lot of money. But we'll accept anything.
All right, we're starting our manhole rehab project with some manhole issues that were brought to our attention by the city of San Elizario. We're looking at Glorieta Road and San Antonio Road, and we're going to look at all of the manholes that are either too high, too low, have holes in them, so that we can fix those manholes and also assess what our manhole infrastructure looks like from there.
You got Grijalva Drive. Is that
Yeah, it
correct?
should be San Antonio Road. There's no Grijalva Drive. Grijalva
Okay,
is
yeah.
in Moon City.
Okay. Yeah, but Glorieta is a highly traveled road there in San
Yeah, I
Elizario.
didn't catch that till right now.
Okay. Glorieta, as I was saying, Glorieta is a highly traveled road, and yeah, sure enough, there's those manholes are above the street level, so those bumps are really bad.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely. We're also working on that paving project, which is going to be done by the city of Socorro, and we're going to put in our water lines in before they pave, so that the paving is nice and clean. This is Judy Lane and Sudan Road, which is somewhere around the wholesale lumber that's in Horizon back there somewhere.
So we're gonna do them before they pave, Jerry?
Yes, sir.
So what happens when they
They'll be
pave?
doing the paving.
Should it be done after the paving so we can put it to grade?
No, we're actually putting in a replacement line on the street. We're gonna mess up the paving, and then they're gonna come back and repave the whole road as part of.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of the manholes. Okay, okay.
No, this is water lines that we're
The
replacing.
water line, yeah, okay,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry. Yeah, got you. I got you.
Okay, we were supposed to have a kickoff meeting today with our contractors on the meters, and our system went down and we weren't able to have the meeting. So we'll probably have it tomorrow or on Monday. We're about to solicit for bids for the meters to see who gives us the best bid so that we can replace all of our meters. And you're gonna see why in a little bit when we talk about customer service. Ooh, that looks awful small, doesn't it?
No, it's fine.
You guys see it okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I see it okay.
Yeah, it's coming in.
One thing that's important here is that we're looking at mostly replacing in-house. What that does is it allows us to reconsider how we're going to backfill the position that's vacated by us promoting or hiring a in-house employee for a particular job. So as the district changes, we find that there's other needs instead of replacing the person that just got promoted. These are our job openings. If you're looking at solid waste, I think we're losing one more guy this week or next week. So we'll be hiring 3 solid waste drivers as we interview instead of 2.
I thought we had already hired a safety specialist.
No, because of COVID, we put it on delay.
Oh, okay.
These are our records management totals for the month or for the last several months. We're looking at, because of what happened with our flooding situation here with the water fountain, we're looking at starting with a commercial scanner for the active records that are currently in customer service. Once we do that, then we'll look at the possibility of scanning our archived records. But for now, it's going to be only our active records to see how that system works and to be able to clean up that whole area and use it for personnel as we have to put people 6 feet apart. Okay, so here's customer service. I wanted to let you know more or less how it actually works. When a customer calls in, it's actually, the phone's actually answered by a receptionist who either forwards the customer to the proper department, and they know which department to go to, or to the supervisor in customer service that can help the particular customer. For instance, if a customer says that they got a notice on cross connection, we send them, or the receptionist sends them straight to Mr. Mireles or Hilda Ramirez in the cross connection section. If it's new installations, it goes to Simona Castañeda. If it's billing concerns, it goes to Carmen. If it's a residential leak, it goes to Jacob Acosta, who's our meter reader supervisor. The meter readers are the first line of defense because they're always out there reading meters. And so when customer service has a residential leak or problem, Jacob is usually the guy that responds. Okay, now this is all that customer service does. So just so that you know, it's not the only thing that they do. They're obviously cashiering and taking payments, reconciling with the banks, making sure that the bills are accurate, and following through with delinquent accounts. At the same time, we added to them the loan program, we added the water rights program, and the tampering that we're currently working on, which is tampering for residential areas and tampering for water rights violations. These are the accounts. Again, this is a normal customer service slide that you guys are accustomed to. What we see here is the mail payments are probably the ones that are taking the largest amount now instead of people coming in. The people coming in are minimal because they're driving through the drive-through. And then phone payments obviously is a really big amount. Our phone people are both, half of them are here and half of them are teleworking. This is what the new installations department did. And then the work orders that have come in through customer service. Solid waste. And I'm gonna more or less just give you a list of the personnel who are in solid waste in a little bit, just to show you that we have over 17,000 customers in solid waste and 1,500 commercial customers that they have to take care of. This is basically what the income looks like from solid waste. You can see how commercial is becoming a bigger and bigger piece of the overall solid waste income. And this is the unaccountable trash, the trash that we actually do through the bulk pickup program or that we have disposed of ourselves. And this is the group. There's 20 people in solid waste that take care of those 17,000 accounts and the 1,500 commercial accounts. So drivers are key. The supervisors and the leads they take over driving whenever they need to. Even Mr. Magallanes actually drives when he has to. This is what they have projected for the near future. And it's been approved by the board, the community cleanups that we talked about, the tire amnesties. And then we talked today about the Volkswagen program. We're going to make every attempt to fund 3 of the trucks, order 3 of the trucks now, because they probably will come in sometime in October. So we'll actually put all 6 trucks in our October budget, but we expect to get the payment from the Volkswagen program, which is about half of it. We expect to get about $900,000 back next fiscal year as well. So the earlier we order, the earlier we're going to get the refund. Field operations department, you can see during March and April, because of what happened to them, that they had fallen behind, but they're back. They actually did a really good job this month. Field operations is pretty much what we call the heavy response. If a residential area has a line burst that's on a bigger line, that's when field operations comes in. Normally, field operations doesn't do the smaller residential lines. They do the installations. Okay, they do installations for these lines, and they do the connection to the main lines. Regulatory compliance, again, these are the people that we have promoted from within, and a lot of our regulatory compliance people have been reassigned from field operations so that we split the group up. So there's a lot of experience in regulatory enforcement, that came from field operations. And so if somebody in field operations gets sick again, we have regulatory enforcement as a backup, or if somebody in regulatory enforcement gets sick, we have field operations as a backup. They're all cross-training their people to pretty much do what needs to be done in those departments.
I will tell you that I got to commend Mike and his staff on how they handled the situation yesterday at Oscar's property. I was a little disappointed with your field operations and the way they responded, because you don't ever say you are too busy. You say, we're tied up, can we get to it, blah, blah, blah. But Mike, thank you. His staff did an excellent job, very professional, and acted and responded in a very timely manner. I couldn't understand how new installations was involved in a situation like this. I would have thought it would have been Mike Mireles and them, but you know, it got taken care of, even though they had him running around all over the place, but it's okay.
Basically, if you call customer service, they'll know who to refer you to.
Obviously not. It didn't happen yesterday. But I will tell you that what did occur yesterday, I'm glad that it happened to a family member, because it gives me an idea of when customers complain. I thought they were exaggerating. I got a little taste of it yesterday. I think it's imperative that we, as an organization of the size we are and the caliber that we are, I think we have to have procedures. When something like this happens, you don't send the customer all over the place trying to figure out who to get to. And they're not going to complain. Oscar was very patient. It was me that was disappointed that there wasn't any procedures. You know, we recommend you do this, or we are going to help you with that. Mike got involved. I don't know who contacted him, but and immediately called me and sent his staff over there. But I think there should be some additional training on, regardless if it's from one employee to another, you don't do that. You don't say, I'm too busy, I'm not gonna get to it. You just don't do that,
No.
okay?
They were,
And so
they
that's
were
all.
handling an emergency in Tornillo, and they were way too far. The meter readers
And I
are right
understand
there.
that, Jerry, but as a customer and a taxpayer, I don't know that.
No, but we know who to
But
send.
I don't,
The
but
meter
that's what
readers
I'm
would have been
saying.
there immediately.
They
The
don't
meter
need
readers
to
would have been there
say,
immediately.
yeah, but you don't need to say, no, I'm too busy, I can't, I'm not gonna go. You say, you know what, we're tied up, we're at another place, let me see who else I can, yes, come on. It doesn't matter, let's move on.
Okay, thank you. Regular compliance, the cross connection people are Jorge Acosta and Hilda Ramirez. They work for Mr. Mireles. FOG, which is handling the restaurants, the industrial greases and oils, as well as lift station 7, which is where all the septic transporters come in, is currently manned by Bobby Lopez, Betty Castaño, and Juan Garcia. Juan Garcia comes from field operations, and he's one of the backup people for field operations who has a wealth of experience. So if something happens, he's going to be, he and Eliodoro Salas, who's a valve guy, you'll see him here at the bottom of the screen here to the left. And Frank Almanza is a commercial vehicle driver. So they have a complete crew to fill in for field operations if something happens. Mechanic shop, this is basically what they've been working on. A little bit of everything. And for 5 people, that's awesome work. And again, our supervisory and lead personnel get in there and work with the employees as well.
Daisy, uh-oh, here we go again.
Is that you, Rosie?
Yeah.
Department of Information.
IT,
It's my best watchdog. She must have listened to what we were talking about and she didn't agree.
this is basically the history of IT. We do have a little bit less usage in May and June, but since we're already resuming our cutoffs, maybe people will start paying their bills and do it on the web. So we'll see. We do have a program where if a person is affected by COVID, the CARES Act, we can refer them to Project Bravo to help them with the utility payments.
Hmm.
Okay, so here's what I thought I'd highlight for tonight is our GIS report. We didn't have this a couple of years ago. We now have a lot of our applications GIS oriented. And what I like about this slide is if you look at the members of the organization that are using it, the first 2 guys are, the first guy is valves and fire hydrants. So we're now using GIS to be able to locate our valves, okay? It's already on the system and we're getting better and better at locating our valves as we incorporate more and more into the system. We're also using our GIS to see who has water rights and who doesn't, so that we can see if tampering fees are in order for people who are stealing irrigation water. Okay, those guys, and these guys primarily maintain the community ditches. They're actually out there with their phones determining who has the right to take irrigation water and who doesn't. We're also, you see Mr. Ruben, which is Ruben Orozco, and you have Mr. Natividad. who are field operations. Field operations uses our GIS infrastructure a lot as well. And then our inspectors use it as well. So it's almost across the board with regard to the district as to who's using the GIS. Our biggest users are Ryan, obviously, because he actually maintains the GIS infrastructure and gives us the necessary customer service reports on water usage and stuff like that. And Daniel Hernandez, who is our engineer, one of our PEs, he uses it extensively as well. So as we go through the various departments and their uses of GIS, you're going to see a huge increase on us automating and using these types of systems more and more. And that's it. I'll see if I can get myself to unshare. Are you guys still seeing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Ryan, you may have to run over here.
Just give me 1 second.
Okay, I found it. Oh, it's actually you that's sharing, Ryan.
Yes. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
We done? Anyone have any questions?
No questions.
No
Nope.
questions.
No questions. David.
Thank you, Mr. Grijalva. We'll move on to item 11. Consider and take action to approve engagement letter to perform independent auditing services for fiscal year 2020 by Peña Briones McDaniel and Company.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, board members, Mr. Blanco and Lower Valley Water District staff. The administration is requesting board members consider and approve the engagement letter from Peña Briones McDaniel and Company for the independent auditing services of the district's financial statements for fiscal year 2020. The engagement letter was provided as a backup for board members' review. Peña Briones McDaniel is the awarded vendor under the RFQ, which was awarded by the board for CPA financial and compliance services, compliance audit during the regular board meeting, July 2017. It was a 3-year agreement with annual renewals. So the district is bringing the third request to renew with Peña Briones. So if the board members don't have any questions, the total contract for fiscal year 20 audit is not to exceed $49,900.
I understand they're good and they've done a good job. Does anyone have any questions regarding this item?
No questions.
If not, I so move to approve the item as presented, not to exceed, how much was it? 49,000 what?
49,900.
49,900.
I'll second. David Carrasco.
Mr. Carrasco, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 12, discussion and possible action to approve manhole and gate value adjustment to final grade, City of San Elizario. Daniel?
Good evening, everyone. The next item is it's a proposal from one of our contractors, CMD. This proposal, as Mr. Grijalva mentioned on his report, is going to cover all adjustment of valves and manhole along Glorieta Road. It's going to go from Socorro Road all the way to Main Street, and also is going to cover San Antonio Road. The district was approached by city a few months back in the adjustments of these manholes and valves. So we asked for a proposal to one of our contractors, and we want to repair all the streets. And the cost that they're providing is $42,971. So we got with the engineering committee and we discussed this item, and we recommend this amount not to exceed manholes along those two streets.
What's the total again on that one too?
It's $42,971.
Did the engineering committee meet on this?
Yes,
We sure did.
And what is the recommendation of the engineering committee?
We recommend approval.
I so move that we approve this item as presented not to exceed $42,971 as recommended by the engineering committee.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded by Mr. Estrada. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, discussion and possible action to approve manhole and gate value adjustment to a final grade, City of Socorro.
For this item, we were approached by City of Socorro early this year on Grijalva Drive. They repaved that street, leaving some of our manholes on valve under the pavement. Go back and raise again the manholes in the valve. So it's going to be the same contract. It's going to go for CMD, and they're proposing a bid for $17,986. And we have also discussed this item with our engineering committee.
Mhm.
So I don't know if anybody has any question.
How many manholes are there on this street, Daniel?
There's 14 manholes and valves together that
And,
need to be adjusted.
okay.
Ms. Vigil, you're on mute.
I don't know why it keeps doing that. How much was this, Daniel?
That's $17,986.
And I guess the engineering committee met on this one as well, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
You all are recommending the same. So I so move that we approve this item as presented for the City of Socorro, not to exceed $17,986 as recommended by the engineering committee. Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 14, presentation by FXSA on manhole condition assessment.
Hello again. For this item, one of our consultants, FXSA, this is a presentation for a manhole rehab. Mr. Marco Trujillo, he has extensive project experience in the environmental engineering field, consisting of water and wastewater conveyance, treatment, condition assessment, and cutting-edge technologies. He has been responsible for multiple projects across Texas, Arizona, Nevada, and Virginia. Mr. Trujillo received the Outstanding Engineering Achievement Award by the Engineering Club of Hampton Road in 2013 for sanitary sewer condition assessment program. So now I introduce Mr. Marco Trujillo. Please, Mr. Marco Trujillo, if you're there.
Mr. Trujillo, you're on mute.
Okay, I think I muted myself.
There you
Can
go.
you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Ryan, I would like to share my screen if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. You can share your screen.
Perfect. Okay. Can you guys see it?
Not
No.
yet.
Not yet.
Give me 1 second. Click share. There you go. I believe that you can see it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Let me adjust one more thing. Okay. So just gonna move this to one side. Okay, thank you for joining. Again, the title of the presentation is Manhole Condition Assessment Program. I hope that this presentation is explanatory and informative, and I promise that I will not take too much of your time. Before we start, let's remember, that a sewer manhole is the access structure for the sewer system, and that structure can be made of different materials. There is always the question, do you want to hear the bad news or the good news? For this presentation, we'll go over the problems first, and then we'll move on to the good news. This is the tools that we have, what is a condition assessment program, and the options for the Lower Valley Water District. What are the common issues in the manhole condition assessment? The answer is all of the above. You have a combination of internal corrosion, external corrosion, some material selection, age, and some of the issues attack the manholes at the same time. Some are random, some are isolated. So we need to acknowledge that this is a buried infrastructure. This is something that we need to monitor closely because we cannot see them unless we use special equipment to look underground. Some of the issues happen slow, but can get out of control very quickly. One of the last two that I have on my screen, monitoring and condition assessment, these two issues, are basically the lack of having those, the lack of the monitoring, the lack of the condition assessment, the lack of having eyes, on those manholes. That allows, the issues to grow without us, noticing. So again, we have some pictures here. The one on the left, it shows basically a manhole that is affected by corrosion. You can't really tell the material. You have some steps that are heavily corroded. You can see them there. Sometimes you do not see the steps are gone. This could have been, a brick manhole, like a concrete manhole, maybe even had a liner, and you cannot see it now because it's heavily deteriorated. The picture on the right, it shows a combination in between two materials, concrete and brick, and you have water coming in. This issue, sometimes we think that is minor because we open a manhole and we see a little bit of water coming in. Sometimes we do not see the water because it depends on the water level at that time of the inspection. But keep in mind that, that water is carrying soils inside the manhole and inside the system. So it eventually creates some voids around the manhole. And also it can expose, a big sinkhole, over time. And we can talk about this in a little bit. So sinkholes and sanitary sewer overflows. These are some of the most severe problems that we have when in regards to manholes. Some of the causes are, poor condition assessment or a condition of the manhole itself, blockages, failures, things of that nature. I have to say that we made the list, not in a good way, but we're part of some of the states, that have the most damage from sinkholes. And that's, not something that we need to be proud about, but it's something, that it's in according to the EPA statistics, right? So again, the problems can become really, really bad, if we do not keep an eye on those assets. Let's talk about a little bit about how can we, the users, the public, be affected if we do not keep eyes on our system. Imagine, a manhole that fails. All of a sudden you have sewer running into the streets, contaminating our waters, getting into houses. You have people exposed to bacteria, viruses. You also have property damage. Now you have costly repairs, and also you have to deal with cleanup fees. At that time, you can probably also face, some very upset homeowners, even lawsuits. So that is a really, really bad picture to be in. Another thing is that first, let me apologize a little bit for the graphic nature of the picture on the right, low screen. This is an image. This is an issue that happened in San Antonio, Texas. An area that it happened. A big sinkhole appeared all of a sudden. It's attributed to a manhole or a sewer collapse. You can see the amount of effort. You can imagine the amount of money that was spent trying to fix this issue. I chose this example just to show you the magnitude of this issue. They also have the same assets. They have the same manholes, the same pipes. So obviously, if something like this happens in this area, it will be less of a magnitude, but you will also have to react fast and probably spend a lot of money to try to fix something like this. At this point, if something like this happens, regulatory agencies will be looking for action and answers. I also wanted to show some costs, as an average of, the damages that, happen with these kind of problems. Some rehabilitation costs, they can vary from anywhere from 2,000 to 20,000 per manhole. That's because of the complexity of, the manhole locations. Where that manhole is sitting has an impact on the cost and the option for rehabilitation as well. So there's also some assistance available, but sometimes that is emergency related. Now let's move on to some of the good news. There's a tool, a very powerful tool that we have, the implementation of what is called a condition assessment program. This will help the utility owner move in a direction of having a healthy system. Typically, you follow 3 steps: a desktop analysis. That means you take a look at everything that you already have, the GIS system, maps, previous reports, records, and then you move on to inspections or direct assessment. This means you're out in the field, you're looking at manholes, you're inspecting them, you're getting the information from every specific manhole. And then the last step is basically the rankings. Once you have all that information, you put them in a way that you can prioritize, which ones you need to address first and which ones can probably wait a little longer. Direct assessment, just quickly, I just want to mention that the technologies have evolved very much within the past 7 years or so. I remember there were some exhibits, in different conferences that, they didn't have any products. They didn't have any equipment to show. Now, I mean, the exhibits are huge. You have a lot of options in products, from resins, in regards to rehabilitation, epoxies and things like that, and also for inspection equipment. So I just wanted to mention quickly that it has evolved. The main thing here is that there's what is called the Manhole Assessment and Certification Program, MACP coding. If you have an inspection done in your system, you want to make sure that you get the MACP coding to make it legit, pretty much, according to industry standards. I wanted to quickly say also that some of this equipment can be compared to digital cameras. Back in the day, they were very expensive, and now they became really affordable. This is the same thing with the inspection equipment. It looks really complex and technologically advanced. You can see an image of a scan of one of the manholes, but the reality is these are really affordable. So what do you do? The question is now, what do you do with all this assessment information? You combine the results from the MACP coding, and also you combine what is called a likelihood of failure and consequence of failure. This means, what are the chances that a manhole is going to fail? Maybe if it's a manhole that is really old and sitting in corrosive environment, chances that manhole is going to fail are high. If you have a manhole that is sitting in front of a hospital, maybe the consequences for that manhole to fail, are going to be huge, because you're going to have to divert traffic coming into that hospital. And also you will have to react quickly and probably spend too much money on that. So you do a combination in order to get a graph like this that is going to tell you which manholes specifically you need to address first. Now, you can also take a look at some percentages and say, okay, I probably have about 80% of the manholes in the system that are under low or green, according to this chart. And then relax a little bit, because 80% of those manholes may be, you don't have to react that quickly. You can wait on those. But the idea here is to have at least the rankings for each of the manholes, so you know what to do, which ones to address first. Another example that a manhole condition assessment program can do is also, it tells you the recommended steps, the timeline, and the follow-up items that you need to do after you complete the assessment. The implementation of this condition assessment program will also help the communication between the different departments, the GIS department, the design group, and construction. For example, if you have a field crew that is inspecting the manholes, all of the time, there's some debris in the manhole, and that's being brought up to the GIS person, and that person says, hey, wait a minute, I have information here that tells me that we've been seeing that information, that debris over time, and it's getting worse. So there may be an issue going on. Then you move on to the design engineer and says, hey, let's think about this problem. We may have something more than we can that we were thinking. So now you start the communication, you start the monitoring of that specific issue, and you take the necessary measurements. You move that manhole up or down the list in the rankings, depending on the conditions after the evaluation. This may look a little bit overwhelming, so I just want to show you how to cut the cake. I just want to show you some options on how to move forward just before we finish with this presentation. The items on the left are basically negotiations and numbers that you can take a look before starting. You can negotiate internally to move some budget around, maybe if there's some pressing issues with your system already. You can follow some industry percentages. That's typically between 7 and 14%. But that is for maybe systems that are in good shape already in terms of condition. Maybe if you're trying to catch up, you're a little bit behind, you're looking at higher percentages. Nationwide statistics, you may want to compare to other places. I mean, there are manholes all over the world, so there's a lot of information. So maybe a little bit of research, is going to compare the Lower Valley Water District with another place that you may not think about it, and it will have a lot of information, similar information that you can apply to your assessment. And then there's also assistance through the Clean Water Act that is usually in a first come, first time basis. So, and also requires, some applications, and there may be a waiting list also on that, but that exists as well. Now, before we finish, I just want you to focus your attention on the right, the items in blue. I just try to put things together that are maybe very relevant for you, particularly to have an idea on how much it would cost and things like that. So the first bullet, basically the rule of thumb says, anything over 3,000 manholes, you may want to consider owning the equipment, the inspection equipment, that is. But then if you own the equipment, then you got to put it to use, right? So you have to consider, okay, do we need to hire a crew? Do we need to hire more people? What do we need to do? So this is something for you to consider. There's some industry percentages, like I mentioned. If you want to do that, there's the estimated cost may range from 70,000 to 104. This is without this is not including additional services if those are required. This is just to give you an idea on where the numbers can be at. The circumstances, the actual circumstances can move the numbers one direction or another once, we pin down, what the issues are, the actual conditions are. And now for the entire system, you may be looking at inspecting the entire system for about 200,000 to less than $500,000. In your system, you have over 4,000 manholes, so that is a big system. So that's what you may be looking at. The last three bullets, this may be the highlight of the presentation. You can be in compliance with industry standards within a month. That's because the technologies nowadays allow you to inspect, a lot of manholes within a short amount of time, and you can get the feedback, the evaluations fairly quickly. So again, you can be in compliance with industry standards within 1 month. I will suggest that for utility owners that are maybe in that they can feel that are in good shape already. The second bullet, the bullet before the last one, that is huge to me. You can complete the entire district system inspection within a year and a half. You didn't have that option before because the inspection systems were not that fast. Nowadays, I mean, you're looking at only a year and a half that you can cut up. You can be up to speed. You can have a document that would tell you exactly what you need to follow, which direction you need to go in order to move to a healthier system. And then the last bullet is basically, you can complete the inspections on your system within the next amount of years. I mean, that depends on the limitations that you may have, priorities and things like that. So just to finish, I want to mention, I have a list of questions, that I hope that I was able to help understand and address. Again, condition assessment program will take the district to a healthy system and will help you guys to take control of your system. That is all I had. Do you have any questions?
No, I like it. Thank you. More than likely our engineering committee and Mr. Grijalva and his staff may be in touch with you to talk and sit and discuss things, bring it back to the board.
I'll be happy to help you guys. I think you're moving in the right direction. Again, this is what I've seen throughout my experience. All the utilities are moving this direction. And again, I just want to emphasize, the opportunity that the technology is bringing us again, is putting us in a place that we couldn't have these options before, at least not for these prices and timelines that we're talking about nowadays. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
I think what I'll do is anytime I'm driving close to a manhole, I'll reroute myself.
Okay, well, then we'll let you know when you're safe to drive again.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you for the presentation, and I'm sure we'll be in contact with you.
You are welcome. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, item 15. Consider and take action to authorize management to add 2 accounts under Texas Class Prime Investments. Alex?
Yes, good evening, Madam President, board members, Mr. Blanco, and fellow colleagues. Currently, Lower Valley Water District has 2 accounts with Texas Class Investments, which have been previously authorized by the Board of Directors under our investment policy. The 2 accounts are Texas Class Government Investments, Operating, and Repair and Replacement accounts. The Texas Class Investment Pool has 2 investment options. The options are as follows: Texas Class Prime and Texas Class Government. Management would like for the board members to consider and take action for authorization of 2 additional investment accounts under Texas Class Prime Investments, which would be an additional operating and a repair and replacement account. Texas Class Prime Investment differs from Texas Class Government in that the permissible investments include bankers' acceptance, mutual funds, state and local government obligations, highly rated commercial paper, and guaranteed investment contracts. Included as supporting information is the daily yields as of June 17th, 2020, the differences between investments, Lower Valley Water District's investment policy, and the Texas Class Investment Policy Acceptance Letter.
The investment committee met on this, and it is the recommendation after we've met and Mr. Hernandez explained everything. It is in the best interest of the district that we go ahead and accept the recommendation as presented to us by the finance committee, who's done an excellent job in overseeing all our funds. As director, as board president, and sitting on the investment committee, if none of you directors have any other questions, it is our recommendation that we accept this as presented. Do any of you have any questions?
I have no
I don't.
questions.
No question.
No,
Do
no
I
question.
hear- So do I hear a second to approve? As
I'll
presented?
second it. I'll
Thank
second
you.
it. Rosie.
I was hoping you would, Henry, being on the committee. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion. Item 16. I'm sorry, Mr. Velasco. Is that Mr. Carrasco?
I think I was delayed. I do approve of.
Okay.
So I oppose, but yes, it is. Sorry, I've been delayed, and I did approve of it. Okay, I did approve.
So you do approve?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. It's been, I believe I said it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. And
Aye.
everybody said aye. Okay, thank you. Item 16, consider and take action to approve a new bank agreement and open a money market account with BBVA Bank. In addition, we are requesting authorization to open 3 one-year certificates of deposit with Westar Bank. And here again, the investment committee met. Mr. Hernandez did an excellent job, and his staff, and Mr. Grijalva, in presenting this item to both Mr. Trujillo and myself, and I'll let Mr. Hernandez explain to you.
Good evening, board members, Mr. Blanco and co-workers. Lower body conducted a competitive process and requested quotes for interest rate for certificate of deposit and money market account. We requested rates for Wells Fargo, BBVA, and Westar Bank. Westar Bank is our current depository bank. The following banks abstain from submitting rates: Chase and Vantage Bank from Texas. The administration is recommending to approve a new bank agreement and open a new money market account with BBVA Bank. They're offering us at this moment 0.60%, the interest rate. Our actual interest rate with Western Bank is 0.35, and BBVA is offering 0.60. In addition, we're requesting offering 3 one-year certificate of deposit with Western Bank. Western Bank, that is our depository bank, is offering us 0.95 for 1 year. And we want to open 3 one-year certificate, 2 certificate of 5 million each, for repair, 1 for repair and replacement, 1 for the operating account. And then we want to open a certificate in the amount of 1.167 that is going to be for customer deposit. For BBVA account, we're looking forward to transfer $600,000 for the money market account. So far, we haven't received the depository agreement for BBVA. Once we receive it, we're going to present it to Ms. Vigil and Mr. Trujillo for their signature. Western Bank probably is going to submit all the information tomorrow. That means that probably you will receive everything by next week. If you have any question, just let me know.
Now, just so that everyone knows, BBVA is Compass Bank, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, just so I want to know. I know that we've been with Compass Bank for many, many years and never had an issue. I think you too, Mr. Trujillo, right? And you agree?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think that Mr. Hernandez and his staff have done an excellent job in overseeing and constantly watching the interest rates. And this is proof here of how it is important to move it from one account to another to secure that interest rate and that we stay at a low rate. And so if none of you have any questions, being on the investment committee and making sure that we watch this very carefully, I so move that we approve this item as presented to us and allow them to continue to watch very carefully. If any thing comes up, I can assure you that we can always move them to another bank as well. So if none of you have any questions, I guess we will accept that you will agree. So I so move.
Second.
Mr. Trujillo is second, and for all of you others, By saying aye, I will take that you do agree. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Executive session, the Board of Directors will retire an executive session pursuant to 551.07, 551.076, Texas Government Code to discuss any of the following: 551.071 and 551.072, discussion regarding pending personnel matters. It is 7:31. See, we want to give Steve Blanco an opportunity to speak, so that's why we like to go into.
Hey, Miss V Hill, I just
One of the
just
numbers
noticed
is
that
wrong, right?
it should be 551.074.
Yeah.
072 is a property item. We don't have a property item this month.
See, we do that on purpose so that we can hear you speak.
Lord. Okay.
And shame on you and I for approving it and not noticing.
Yeah,
We never
I didn't
noticed
notice
it.
that. I'm
I
sorry.
know. Okay, so we'll make the correction that it should be 551.071 and 551.074.
Correct.
There again, it is 7:32. The board will exit out and join the executive session part of it. Thank you. Leave.
You should have corrected it, Steve. I didn't correct it. You had a chance.
Okay, leaving meeting.
Okay, I guess everyone's back on there, except for is Mr. Carrasco there?
Carrasco, not yet.
And we're missing Henry and Mr. Carrasco.
Yeah, we're missing Henry also. Mhm.
Here comes Henry.
Henry's here.
I guess we're just saying Mr. Carrasco.
Here he comes.
There you go. Okay, I guess everyone's on there, right? Rod, Henry. The board's back in session. It is 7:55 p.m. There was no action taken in executive session. Uh-oh, where's my agenda? The next item is adjourn. I so move to adjourn at 7:56. Anyone have any, anyone to second that?
I'll second that motion.
Seconded by Mr. Chavez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good
Have
night.
a good night.
Aye.